Welcome to Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tapestry of extraordinary experience. And on today's episode, people, I want to most definitely bring a topic to you that I absolutely love talking about, and that is most definitely how to build a strong foundation for marriage. Now, the shift in the different topics we see across the world is so focused on the things that destroy the people's thoughts and processes on how they feel and the outcomes of what traditional marriages should be like. And so while we're focused so much on the negative energy, which that does happen, and people do have problems in those particular types of foundational marriages, we want to definitely get deep down into this and try to figure out why more people are not going down this track of actually finding the person that they are supposed to be with, as opposed to focusing on these superficial things like money, as we always hear being talked about on social media. We hear so many different ways in which the men and women are interacting with each other. Because think about it this way: the men are looking at it strictly from a visual point. They're going on what they are attracted to the most and they're running with it. The women are out here as well, looking at the amount of money that that man makes, whether that's definitely going to be have to be higher than six figures a year. But let's focus on the way that we can move to that point in which we can build one another, build with each other, so that way that we're both not only healthy, we both look well, we both are doing very good in the respective careers that we are in, and we are also able to build a financial stable home and household together. And so that's what I want to definitely talk about on today's episode. Now, one of the things, as I'm going over these 4 points today, is I definitely want to highlight those so that we can understand what we are talking about and what we will be going through. And as we're going throughout the show, I want us to be able to understand exactly what we have going on. And so that way we can all stay in line. We can also both understand exactly how we need to go about this, because I tell you this, it is a thing that we most definitely need to make sure that we understand. And this is most definitely going to be a very, very important topic, points as we're going over. But the importance that we have, people, in terms of the friendship in romantic relationships is this: when we go out in the world, whether we're just graduating high school or just graduating college, and we're getting out into the space by ourselves, I'm going to say normally around about 18 to 21, because not everybody goes off to college in the perfect setting in that particular order. But let's just say after the age of 18 and to 21, the importance of you being able to go out in the world is so that you will have the opportunity to meet somebody who not only may not live in the same city that you live in, whether you're going to a college or going to the military or wherever it is that you're going to move to in the world. Are you granted the opportunity to be able to become friends with someone? So, fellas, you may see a lady that you really like, and you all befriend each other and get to know one another. Ladies, you may see a fella out and about that you like, and you all start talking, courting, or whatever the case may be for the terminology that you use at the time of this video. But when you have the opportunity to meet somebody and you all come together, you have the options of being able to move a specific way and get to know one another. Now, how long does that friendship last? Some people may be in just steady relationships for years, but I'm just going to say, for the record of the video, that you should pretty much know whether or not you're going to spend the rest of your life with that person within the first 3 to 6 months. Now, some of you may believe or think that that is absolutely too quick. You don't have enough time. But here's the thing: you don't want to waste anyone's time. You're either in or you out. But as long as you all have the ability to talk to one another and understand, why are we in this relationship? Are we just dating, or are we dating to get married? That way, people's expectations are not being falsely led and people can actually get to know one another. Now, as we're looking at that particular point, I do want to bring up another one. And this is going to be trust and communication as key pillars in the relationship. Now, what does that even mean when we're talking about trust and the key pillars? So here's a couple things that I definitely want you all to be able to see. When you're talking about trust in a relationship, that means, ladies, fellas, these devices right here, cell phones, can definitely get you into trouble in relationships. Now, here's how it can be a little bit different on by both sides. When you find yourself dating someone, you're really serious about them, you're naturally going to start cutting people off. So, ladies, the fellas you used to hang out with, probably likely going to probably not be calling you anymore. Fellas, ladies you were friends with, involved with, you're probably not likely going to talk with them anymore, but you have to be respectful of one another. As you get closer to marriage, the idea is for you to be able to communicate with one another to understand where you all are going, where you're headed to, what you will put up with, and what you will not put up with. Communication is going to go in different ways. Some people may enjoy actually sitting down eye to eye talking to one another. Some people like writing letters to each other, or whatever your style of communication may be. It has to be something where your spouse should never feel like they are threatened by somebody else. That's the whole basis of it. When you get to that point, it's different when boyfriend and girlfriend are jealous because they are not tied to each other legally. So you may, ladies, you may have a boyfriend, fellas, you may have a girlfriend who you believe that should be acting like a wife, but in reality, they're not. They're not your wife, they're not your husband until you all legally have it done the right way. Now, when you become husband and wife, then you all need to actually sit down and discuss what needs to happen to keep your household together. And these are all learning opportunities and learning things like that. And sometimes these things that your parents may not even teach you, because some people can say, well, my parents were never married. I didn't grow up in having both parents at home, but that should not be an excuse for you not to start that with the generation that you are with. Now, when we look at our third point, we look at how shared values can contribute to long term success. And so we need to be able to talk with the person that we are with so that we can most definitely understand what we are willing to go through in order to build a foundation for our family. So, as we go through how our shared values um, are there and how our shared values can contribute to long-term success. We need to figure out and sit down, okay, where do we want to live? How many children do we plan to have? Where do we want to, or where do we see ourselves in the next couple of years? You should most definitely know because being married, you would think that people will be able to talk about what is the best for the household. How is the household going to run? Because the world that we lived in back in the day and the world we in right now is two completely different worlds. And you can look at the show like a different world as it was outlining a couple of different points in there, even how Whitley and Dwayne were in two completely different. So when you look at the shows like a different world, some good examples in there is when Dwayne Wayne was on that plane, or in the beginning, Whitley didn't like him. She didn't care for him. When Dwayne Wayne was on that plane in that suit, she saw some potential success. She got her act together. Then they started talking throughout the episodes. They eventually got married. They had conversations. They tried to pull what they could pull together for their future family, and then of course she got pregnant, as well, and they was having a baby, and the show ended. If any of you have watched that show, most definitely like check it out. It's a really good show. I like to watch it from time to time. But we have to know how to share our values with one another to contribute to long-term success. Because here's the thing: when you both are on the same page, I do honestly believe that if people actually talk to one another and it's heart to heart conversations and they are on the same page and they want to build a family together, man, woman, children, legacy, then the divorce ratio most definitely go down. Now, aside from those three, I do not want to leave out one of the fourth points, and that is the role of personal growth before and during a relationship. Ladies, I need you all to understand this because a lot of the videos that we got out on YouTube right now highlights this in a negative fashion. But the role of personal growth, let's talk about before the relationship. People, ladies, the men are not going to be at their peak 21 to 35 years of age. Okay. They're not going to be in the tip top of their career. They're going to be growing up, finding themselves. A lot of you, many of you, the majority of you are trying to find high value men at an early stage. And it's one thing if you're both are in college and you both see potential in one another and you both are starting out from scratch, you are building together, then you're putting your resource together. But a lot of you wanting to come on the tail end when this man has accumulated the necessary wealth and earnings and has built a foundation. And a lot of you want to come on the tail end of that. And that's where you are messing up at. That is where we're messing up at, is we have to be able to grow with one another. So people are going to be broke in the beginning. I love seeing the stories where the man is not yet where he needs to be, and the woman gets with him, and then they build one another, and then they go down their way. And then once he makes it, he brings her up as well. They both pull their resources together to build a household. That is what needs to happen. And then as you're in that relationship, during the entirety of that relationship, you all should be consistently growing you know, to a different level. So fellas, you may change the way that you do things. You may change the way that you talk, you may change the way that you speak, you may change the style of clothing that you wear. Ladies, you may change from your old ways of definitely most definitely dressing less provocatively than you have before. You're getting out of that single woman phase and you get into that married woman phase, and you are growing, you're getting around different friends who are also elevating you. The thing is that a lot of times, and most of the time, couples end up having a lot of single people around in their relationships, misguiding them into a different way. Because think about it, when you have a lot of single friends, they're doing single people things, and so sometimes you may feel like you are left out, you're not having fun, but in reality, you have somebody to come home to. They don't have nobody to come home to. And if they do, it's going to be different people. I always like to use the analogy of, would you much rather, when you grow older, would you much rather spend the rest of your life alone and something ends up happening, you're getting sick, and you don't have nobody there to care for you? Or would you much rather grow with someone, build with someone over the course of your life? You have an extended family, you have your grandkids, your great grandkids down the line. You get up in age and you have somebody who's been there with you for decades. Fellas, how would you like to have your wife right there by your side? Ladies, how would you like to have your husband by your side? You all should thrive to be able to spend the rest of your life together so that you all can move forward. So as you overlook those 4 points that I discussed today, I want you to really take a reflection and look back on your life, because this is just me just giving just some different points. Now, whether you follow it or not, it's entirely on you. This is not the end all be all. There's more to come. So, like, listen, subscribe to the channel. Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tape extraordinary experience. Y'all have a good one.